Hi. I just have to laugh because my laptop's working, but I gave YouTube some money. I guess I guess that's what it's about. Hi everybody. It's 12:35. I did my walk and I have some in the Redfield, K. Jameson Redfield Big Manual. And then I had to give much of my personal data to NIHM. Now, give me a minute. I'm saying it backwards. NIMH, which is the National Institute of Mental Health. They have some really nice studies that are like brand new, like 2025, 2026. My dissertation was 2022. As anybody that's in science and health, especially now with AI, there can be quicker advancements and more knowledge in a speedier way. So I gave them my old phone number, but I had to give them my new email because I forget what my Hotmail was, because it's more professional to have a Gmail. And that's why I got one a few years ago. So let's start with, this is again, manic depressive illness, bipolar disorders, and recurrent depression, volume 1. Frederick K. Goodwin and K. Redfield Jameson. This is on page 9, so it's earlier than some of the things I've said, but I'm going to read the whole paragraph. So we have some of the older, not too old, older information, and then maybe you'll get as excited as I am that I now have available to me, beaucoup, as we say in French, very much information on the National Institute of Mental Health. You could get information, but you'll have to give them a phone number and email. I suggest you come up with fake ones, or else you'll get maybe more information than you want. Like, I like it for my research, but you might get a hoot and a holler of emails already. So I'm just warning you. If you give them your phone number, you could get like texts. And if you give them your true email, you could get emails. All right. So this is page 9 of the Goodwin. Jameson. And let me find out who this. Okay, it's a psychiatrist, and I can't find the name on this page because it must be carried over to the other page. But he then noted that patients with a history of mania, whom he termed bipolar, had a high incidence of mania in their families as compared with those with recurrent depressions, only whom he termed monopolar. In 1966, Angst, ANGST, and Paris, PERRIS, independently provided the first systematic family history data to support Leonard's distinction, validating it was an independent criteria family history. Some of the subsequent family history studies are consistent with a model in which bipolar and the more highly recurrent forms of unipolar depression are variants of the same fundamental disorder. So we've discussed that at least 3 times, I think, with bipolar illness representing the more severe end of the spectrum. So that's from, it's kind of a text. They probably use it for a text and a reference. Here's my exciting research from, and I wrote for myself, finish Bipolar I. So after these 2 pages, we're going to move on to Bipolar II. It doesn't mean we'll never revisit it, but I want to make sure that we have the basics before we go beyond the basics. Before I get to the point where we can have a chat. I just put up a live chat, I think. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm much older than many of you. Okay, so the National Institute of Mental Health says mental illness that causes clear shift in a person's mood, energy, and activity levels and concentration. People with bipolar disorder often experience periods of extremely elated, irritable, energized behavior, known as manic episodes, and very down, sad, indifferent, or hopeless periods, known as depressive symptoms. Now, I picked a study. It says it illuminates the genetic architecture of bipolar disorder. So we had talked about it, a genome and the genome chart. So, I showed you that, I think, in the nurses manual. I can always show that that chart again. So this was the largest genome-wide study of people with bipolar disorder, and it sheds new light on the genetic architecture and biological mechanisms involved in this common and often disabling mental illness. The findings from the study, mental illness, funded by the National Institute of Health, may pave the way for more targeted and personalized treatments. That's what we want. That could improve the lives of people with bipolar disorder. That's why I started this channel. Now, I'm going to give you, and maybe I can throw it into a post. Here's a link, and I'll go slow. If some of you don't know what a link is, when you type this all into your regular computer or a regular laptop, it will turn blue if you've put in all of these letters and punctuations. So it's https://doi period org slash 10 period 1038 slash lowercase s 41586 024 dash 08468, and not an underscore, but the little guy. I can't think of the name right now. 9. So I'll repeat that really quickly because I'm running a little long. https://doi.org slash 10 period 1038 slash lowercase s 41586 024 whatever you would use for subtraction, 0846 whatever, wait, 6, 8, whatever you use for subtraction, 9. So if you put that in your phone, in your laptop, in your Google search, if you copy the right information from me, it'll turn blue. So I had a lot of links. Like when I went for my master's and bachelor's, we I don't think we had links. If we did, they weren't a lot of them. But once I did my dissertation, it was like I had over 100 references, and I can't even imagine how many links I had. Sometime for the heck of it, I'll count them. Okay, so at the NIMH site, I clicked adults bipolar. There was a choice for children and maybe teenagers. I didn't pick that right away because I started this channel for adults. It's actually better that way because every day I have to pick whether it's adult material or okay for children. And I think it's better if just adults know this. If children are seeing a psychiatrist or a counselor or something, that's a family situation and it's not for me to be a part of. Okay, so if you're an outliner, I put Roman numeral 1, investing, no, investing the genetics of bipolar disorder in those affected and their family members. And then I tried to teach my middle school young people how to outline. I think some of them got it and some of them didn't. So after the Roman numeral, you start with a capital A. Researchers are looking for genes that may affect a person's chances of developing bipolar disorder. You can, and I'm going to explain this after I read the whole thing. You can participate in this research study if you are over 18, have a bipolar diagnosis, or have a family member with a bipolar disorder. Capital letter B. The major goal of this study is to examine how mood disorders, anxiety disorders, and migraine run in families. We study both genetic and environmental factors that may contribute to these conditions. So I know a few people with terrible migraines. I have been blessed never to have a migraine. I know one person has to close all the curtains, kind of lay in bed and no noise and no conversation. I have no idea how long that lasts, but I don't think Tylenol or arthritis Tylenol or extra strength Tylenol do anything for it. I don't know if there's anything over the counter. I've never had to ask my GP or my internist about it, but I know there are many people that suffer with migraines. So that last thing is an actual study. Now, you can do studies if you have bipolar illness, or like it says, you have a family member, and you don't have to give blood. You don't have to. I'm trying to think. Like it's very non-medical. It's more like surveys and answering questions, maybe even looking at pictures like the Rorschach test used to be, but I don't know who uses them anymore and for what. You sometimes get paid for these, so you should keep your ear to the wind. If you ever find yourself in a circumstance where you know somebody that's ill, you get diagnosed with the illness, and just to have that knowledge in your head. And you notice anxiety disorder got mentioned. And as I've said before, many people in my dissertation would say this doesn't make the anxiety disorder people any better, but college anxieties can be helped in a very propitious, very quickly, very timely fashion with the right help, whether it's a psychiatrist or a counselor or, somebody. So, we are going to touch on the four other disorders that I mentioned, which include anxiety disorder, MDD, major depressive disorder, oh, the one where you wash your hands too much. I'm fried in my brain today. Schizophrenic disorder, and gosh, I'm missing the five. But we will touch on them because some of the evidence has showed, and I don't think they always knew this, that some medicines that they use for bipolar illness, they've started to use for schizophrenic illness, and it does help. But as I said before, somebody with schizophrenic disorder might have a longer period of time where they would have to take off from college or their job. And, that can happen with bipolar disorder too. But it ends up being a little more severe in length of hospitalization, or if they call situations. See, I haven't done a lot of research on schizophrenia, but if theirs is called episodic, they might do better when they're not in an episodic situation. And I will review my dissertation and the other four disorders that I covered in my dissertation, but my main emphasis was bipolar backroom, and that's what it's mostly going to be about. So now that I paid money to YouTube, there's a live chat. If you want to say something, maybe I'll go back to live at 5. So I appreciate the people have viewed my videos. I appreciate the people have shared, and I appreciate the subscribers. I am not going to tell you, I want subscribers. I want to hit 100. That's not what I want. Although I wouldn't mind being a star, but that's not what this is about. This is about information. Eventually, it might be like a peer-to-peer interview, or, even getting somebody with more, like there are many people with more expertise than I, and getting somebody on here besides me. And boy, I've gone 18 minutes. That could be my longest one. So look for me tomorrow. Now that I ching YouTube, it looks like I can live stream. So have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow, most likely live at 5. Take care. Bye-bye.